Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 7th. I just got back from the gym, so I'm probably looking a little rough. Good workout, but it's early in the morning. I also have baby girl here, sleeping, taking little nappers in my lap. So I wanted to talk today about this report that came out. Let me pull it up here real fast. I'll also put it in the description for y'all. So this is on NPR. This came out yesterday afternoon. U.S. intelligence memo says Venezuelan government does not control Tren de Aragua gang. Of particular note, there's a quote in here. The Maduro regime probably does not have a policy of cooperating with TDA and is not directing TDA's movements to and operations in the United States. In fact, the memo states Maduro and top Venezuelan officials view the gang as a threat. The memo states that the Intelligence Council has not observed the regime directing TDA, including to push migrants to the United States, which would probably require extensive coordination and funding between the regime entities and the TDA leaders. So why is this important? Of course, is just another another element in the long list of rationales that the administration is using for these deportations, these arrests and deportations, including the ones in error, including of United States citizens. That is just total BS. So the U.S. intelligence community, our intelligence community, excuse me, I got hair on my face here, is telling us that they are not in coordination. This is not an invasion. This does not constitute something that would fall under the Alien Enemies Act, which is, of course, what the Trump administration has been using to justify these arrests and deportations. So this is just, again, another thing that we have to keep dealing with because the administration is lying to all of us, just straight up lying. And this is part of what they always do, right? There's something that Trump wants to do, and then they have to scramble around behind the scenes to figure out a justification for it. And so they start kind of peppering out these lies in the media and on podcasts and all this other stuff. And then they go out and they just keep saying it over and over and over again until it catches enough wind that they can just use that as the justification that they created, because the justification doesn't actually exist in reality. And this goes to this overarching issue, I think, of due process, which, of course, has become the talking point for the past couple of weeks, where they are saying that, they are not due process because they're illegal, because they're part of the Alien Enemies Act, yada, yada. When in reality, the Constitution is very clear. It uses the term persons and people. We are all due process. That's what it's called. It is the process that we are due in order to prevent the government from becoming authoritarian and acting without, or I guess, not within the law. So without the law, being lawless. And I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I was going to say, I don't know why this has to keep becoming a conversation, but I do know why. And the answer is because the Trump administration is not interested in actually following the law and adhering to the Constitution. And so they have to create these sort of side rationales to confuse us and to make us keep debating these things, when the answer is very simple. Everyone is afforded due process. And even simpler than that, illegal aliens aren't allowed due process because they're illegal. So one, again, that ignores the clear writing of the Constitution. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but it seems very clear to me. You can go and read it. However, the larger question stands: how do you know they are illegal unless you afford them some sort of due process? That is the whole point of due process, which is the government makes a claim, and then due process is used to validate that claim. And if the government is right, if the Trump administration is right, and they are, illegal, or they've committed a crime or whatever it happens to be, then that's proven in due process, and we just go about our lives. Like, this is not like this big complex thing, right? Like, government makes a claim, we go through the due process, and then we have our answer. If you don't go through due process, you do not know if somebody is here illegally. You can be like, well, we know they're here illegally. Like, how? Well, they don't have a birth certificate or they don't have a visa. Okay, well, that's part of due process. So you don't know that until you go through the process. So why don't we just go through the process and make it easy? But more importantly, again, this has been mentioned a lot of times by others, but do you want to live in a country where the government can just say whatever it wants and then do whatever it wants and then you've got no recourse? Do you honestly think that they will stop? There are articles. There was just one yesterday. I'll see if I can find it. I don't have it readily on me, about a woman who was arrested and deported because she was married to, her children are U.S. citizens. She was married to a U.S. citizen, and she was deported, and that family were Trump supporters. Like, he does not care about you. I've said this time and time again, but Donald Trump does not care about you. He is not taking these actions to benefit your life in any meaningful way. And so if it comes down to it, he'll arrest you, he'll deport you, and it won't matter. And obviously, like, he personally isn't seeing these things, right? Like, he's not looking over these, requests, because there are no requests, really. So there's no documents from any sort of law enforcement agency or anything where it's like, well, we think this person is an illegal alien. We're going to go and do an investigation. And if they are, we're going to arrest them and deport them or anything like that. We are arresting and deporting U.S. citizens for no reason. Absolutely no reason. And it's just going to get worse because we're not pushing back in any really meaningful way from sort of a larger, broader societal standpoint to solve this problem. And so I guess the beauty of, a democracy or even a representative democracy is that we get to decide what we think is valuable and important. And that means we have to be active in making these things happen. We have to be out there. We have to be vocal. We have to use the legal system to push back against this stuff. And, so far, I think almost all of the legal challenges regarding this issue have gone against the administration, which is positive in some way. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to give you my standard, like, if they're illegal or they're committing crimes, I don't want... Yeah, obviously, everybody doesn't want criminals in the country, particularly if they're violent criminals. Like, nobody is arguing that Tren de Aragua are good people. That's not the point. The point is that the justification that can be used, if it's this flimsy against the TDA, will eventually become used on other people. And it will become used on you in some capacity. Whether you like to believe it or not. And this, I think there's a lot of wealthy and rich people that feel like they can ignore it because it's not impacting them right now. At some point down the line, it's going to impact you. It may not be deportations to El Salvador, but it's going to be something that is going to push against you in a way that is going to make your life extremely difficult. So anyway, I just thought that this was a pretty valuable conversation that... Hi, Pumpkin, my cat's here. Hi, sweetie. This is the kind of stuff that we need to stand against and not tolerate. It's just very clear that America is not supposed to be this country, and in order to make it so it is not this country, we need to be standing up there and talking about it, and we need to be pushing back against it because this is not acceptable. So thank you all. Hopefully you have a good Wednesday, and I will see you in the next video.